Welcome back. We're out in the garage doing a little organizing. Got jigs all over the place, and that's what we're going to talk about today is jigs and some of my favorite jigs that I think you should be using this year in 2024. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like, and if you want to subscribe, please do. Now let's talk about jigs. And I think that's something that's kind of forgotten about in a way because everyone's talking about forward-facing sonar. So everyone's throwing a fluke style bait on a jig head, you know, they're offshore, but they're still bass up shallow. It's still one of the most fun ways to catch a fish is a jig. Pitching a jig next to a dock, next to a laydown, whatever it is probably one of my top 5 favorite ways to catch a bass. I mean, I catch a bass no matter what it takes, but I love pitching a jig, feeling that thump, seeing your line jump. It's just right there, right close. I mean, if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. It's tons of fun. So today we're gonna talk about pitching jigs specifically. We could talk about all kinds of different jigs, you know, casting jigs, football jigs, swim jigs, little finesse jigs. But we're gonna talk primarily, specifically about pitching jigs, you know, pitching to cover. And I'm organizing right now. I got jigs all over the place, getting ready to put them in this box, put them back in this box, which I do highly recommend. It's a Plano Edge jig and bladed jig box. I got a lot of their boxes. Some I'm not too crazy about, honestly, but this is one that I really like. I have several of them. I have for different kinds of jigs, bladed jigs. Yeah, you get the point. I really like this particular box in here because of how well it organizes the jigs. But I got jigs all over the place. I'm in the process of adding some new stuff. I did a video about the new Berkeley jigs. Have not used these yet, so I can't really speak to them besides that video that I did, and I'll put the link to that at the end of this video. But we're gonna talk about jigs that I use all the time. You know, I have tons of jigs here in this pile. You know, some are custom jigs from small tackle shops that I visited. Couldn't even tell you the name of them, but they work. But we're gonna talk about some of the mainstream brands, some of the readily available jigs that I really use all the time. And they're from all different brands. I don't think one company makes the perfect jig for every situation. You know, some companies like Dirty Jigs, I have a couple of them here, you know, they do really well, but they're, you know, they don't have a tungsten jig, you know, which I really like for some situations. So there's no one company that covers it all. So we're gonna talk about 8 jigs that I use all the time. You know, just looking back at how chewed up some of them are, you know, fish that I've caught in the last couple years. I'm gonna talk about those jigs right now. So I did a video last week talking about my best baits for the year. And I said a jig and kind of mentioned a few of them, but the one that stood out was this one, the Strike King structure jig. And I talked about it again in that video, why I like it, primarily because it's such a good skipping jig, even though it's made for structure, you know, offshore cover, dragging over rocks, all that stuff. It's excellent for skipping. So this is definitely one, if you haven't skipped this thing around, you should. It's got a nice owner hook in it. Very solid jig all around, good colors, comes all the way up to an ounce. So there's a lot of different size options. You know, you can use it for many different things, but it's a very good jig. So I mentioned Dirty Jigs. I really like their stuff. The tour level pitching jig is one of my favorites. I have tons of these. They're just a good solid all around jig that skips well. It's an archy style head, you know, good solid hook. You know, you can pitch this, skip it, whatever you want to do. It's just a good tried and true jig that's a quality design, good colors, everything you need. Can't say enough about it. It's a good all around jig. Also from Dirty Jigs, this is a brand new one I'm about to put in there. This is the Luke Clausen compact pitching jig. So like it sounds, it's a little more compact, you know, so it's gonna have a lot of the same features. The one difference on this is the line tie. It's kind of a flat eye, but the compact comes from the profile. It's the same weight, you know, it's ½ ounce is a ½ ounce, but it's just a more compact head design. So you can see the difference between those two. This is the tour level and this is the compact pitching jig, both ½ ounce. So it's just a little more compact. So that's gonna maybe make the difference between getting into a piece of cover. You know, there's just a lot of reasons why you'd want a compact jig, and this one's really solid. It has a great hook in it. So like I alluded to, I really like tungsten jigs. I've been using them for over 10 years, but I think they've come a long ways. You know, in the past, they had a big issue with splitting. Like you'd cast and, you know, make an errant cast, and because tungsten's so hard, it's 2 pieces fused together. You'd skip, hit a pontoon, or anything like that, and it would just, half of it would fall off. So That problem has kind of went away. I think they've found a better way to pour them, or not really pour them because it's tungsten, it's so hot, but to fuse them together. So that doesn't seem to be an issue as much with the current generation of tungsten jigs. So I'm going to talk about 3 different tungsten jigs that I like, and the reason you like tungsten is the same reason you like it for weights, is it's smaller. So it's going to skip into smaller openings. It's going to look like a smaller profile. There's a lot of reasons why you like it. More sensitive, all of the above. But the 3 that I really like are this one. It's called their compact tungsten. So it's got a hand-tied skirt, so it's not actually a collared skirt, which I really like. So it's really stays on there a lot better. If you're skipping really hard, you're catching a lot of fish, your skirt's not gonna get pulled down. It's got a short shank hook, and then it has the weight on there. I mean, that's pretty cool with the tungsten especially. It's kind of hard to gauge how big of a jig you're using, but it's got it stamped on there. It's got this recessed line tie to help protect your line a little bit, and it's just overall compact. I mean, the one downside is this is a $7 jig, which sounds kind of crazy if you think about it from a few years ago when jigs are $3. I mean, that's kind of what they used to cost, but now they're $4 and $5 or $7 in this case. But it's a good jig. I've caught a lot of fish on it. Another one is the Bass Pro Shops XPS tungsten. This one's a little bit cheaper. It's about $5, which is still pricey jig, but for tungsten, I think it's a really good deal. It's a really compact design. This is actually the heaviest that it comes in. It's a 1/2 ounce. They got some really tiny ones. But I got these a few years ago. I saw them on sale when I was at a Bass Pro and really liked them. I mean, they're really compact. Again, it's tungsten. The one downside I will say is this is not much of a weed guard. It's really thin. It is going to snag a little bit more, but if you're fishing more sparse stuff, it's really good. I can't say enough about the XPS tungsten finesse jig tungsten. Here's another good tungsten jig from Outcast. This is the Stealth Fighter. Really like this, designed by Seth Fighter. It's got a really nice hook. It's got that nano coating stuff on it. Stout hook, tungsten design. They got some pretty cool colors too. A lot of different natural colors. Really like them. Caught a lot of fish on this particular one and some very similar colors as well. So moving along, this is the Missile Jigs Ike's Mini Flip. So it's a really compact design. It's not tungsten, but it's just a really compact profile, which I like. It's got kind of a different head than all these other jigs. It's kind of hard to make a jig look differently, but again, I like that compact design. They got some cool colors, nice quality hook on it. Missile Jigs make some good stuff. And the last one I'm going to throw out there, this is the 6th Sense Divine jig. 6th Sense makes a lot of different stuff, and they do make jigs. So the one thing I like about this is it's got a really nice size hook. So that can be really important when you're using a bigger trailer, when you're targeting just bigger bass. I mean, you have better percentage of hooking up with a bigger hook a lot of times, and it also will hold, like I said, a bigger trailer. So I like the 6th Sense Divine jigs. They make a swim jig, they make all kinds of stuff. They got these kind of weird little ridges on the head. I'm not really sure exactly what that does, but it's just one of the design features. Their skirts, they're basic, but their skirts they got good colors, they feel good, overall pretty good jig. So those are the ones that I would recommend. Those are ones that I've caught fish with. Again, there's so many different jigs out there, and I love them. I mean, I use all different brands. There's a lot of different good ones out there. Like I always say in my videos, please let me know if I'm missing one. I'm sure there's some great jigs out there that could be the next structure jig for me. Maybe it's these Berkeley jigs. I'm really excited to try these out. These are going to make it into my box. Going to finish doing some organizing. Thanks for watching.